In this video, we're going to talk about how to make money selling your woodworking projects on Etsy. I'll talk about my experience on Etsy, how I was able to have consistent sales using these tactics. Be sure to stick around at the end of the video. I'm going to give you a power tip on how to make sales on Etsy. How you doing? I'm Matt with 731woodworks.com. On this channel, we build awesome projects using basic tools. I also give out advice on how to make money woodworking, how to make sales woodworking, and in this video, how to make sales on Etsy. So I'm going to go through with you how to put good titles on your products, how to write a good description of your products. We'll go through the metadata where you have to put tags and certain things on the Etsy listing to help you rank in search. Did not that record? Dang it. I don't even know what I said. I hate it when it don't record. Etsy is an excellent way to add an income stream to your woodworking business. I started on Etsy about 2.5 years ago. It took me a little bit of time to figure out how to set up my listings so that they get found in search, which is a big deal because Etsy is a search engine and you need to set up your products properly, and we're going to go over that in this video. So in the last year, I was able to generate about $20,000 in sales or in revenue. Of course, you got to take out taxes and fees, things like that. Ad money that I paid to Etsy. Once all that's figured in, it's about $13,000 in profit, which isn't bad for 12 months considering I only do this part-time. In 2019, Etsy generated, according to their stats, almost $5 billion with a big old B, billion dollars in sales. That's big time. Etsy has about 2.5 million sellers on there that sell everything from digital products to stickers. It has to be unique, and it doesn't have to be handmade, but it started out as a handmade marketplace. And so most of the things there are handmade. There's almost 40 million people shopping on Etsy every year. 40% of those buyers are return shoppers. So I think it's proven that people want handmade products. Now what you got to figure out is what you're going to sell on there. So finding the focus of your shop, what you're actually going to be making and selling is very important. If you go to Etsy and just search cutting board, you're going to find at the time of this video, over 89,000 results. So the challenge is getting on that first page or two of those cutting boards. That's going to be very difficult. That market's pretty much cornered unless you can make something that's unique nobody else has. And that's what's key. So because my wife designed our stove covers, she come up with the handle design. I had never heard of them, but I put those on Etsy. It started with just one. And once I was able to start making sales, people would request different colors. I would put that up as another listing. We'll talk about that in a minute. You can see that if you can rank in that top area, you'll start making sales. So ours have a unique design with the handles on the sides. Most people's are flat or have the flat pieces on top with a handle or some type of drawer handle or something on them. We made ours with integrated handles with the wood handles, so they are unique. They stand out. That's why they're selling. So it's very important that you research your product and find something that's unique to you and your design, and that's where you're going to start making sales. So there's actually quite a few videos out there that show you how to set up your shop, how to set up your items. I'm not going to go into a great detail on how to do that. I'm going to talk to you about how to sell your woodworking products. I'll drop some links in the description below to some of those videos that I like on how to set up your shop and your listings. I will show you how I've set up some of my listings so you'll get a general idea of what you need to do. So when you do set up your shop, you're going to need to pick a shop name. So whatever it's going to be, it needs to be representative of what you're making. So if you just put up John's shop or Joe's shop, that's not going to draw any interest. People are just going to see the shop name and have no clue what you're making. So if you are into woodworking and you're going to make woodworking items, you can do John's cutting boards, Joe's cutting boards, Joe's woodworks, John's woodworks, something like that. When they see the name, they understand what you're selling, or they have a general idea of what's there in that shop. If you watched my last video, we talked about our power tip in that video. Pictures. You got to have good pictures. If you have crappy pictures, you're not going to sell anything. Take excellent pictures. You can do that with your smartphone. If you have a camera, you can do it with the camera. Stage the item that you're making. If you're making I use cutting boards because they're so common. If you're using a cutting board, chop up something and put on it. Put a knife there with it. You know, stage that item, make it look enticing. Good lighting, good pictures. When you put those on your listing, Etsy allows you to put 10 pictures per listing. Use all of them. Don't do 4 pictures, don't do 6 pictures, don't do 9 pictures, do all 10 pictures. Etsy's also rolled out a video feature that you can put a short 15-second video of your product on your product's listing with no sound. So it's just featuring that product. Use that. That'll sell your product. When you title your listing, make sure you give it a good descriptive title. So on this listing here, it's a stove cover, it's black, and it's small, so it's slim, it has slim handles on it, so I titled it Black Stovetop Cover / Slim Black Stove Cover. Short stovetop cover. Short stovetop cover, black noodle board. In one of my stained ones, like this dark walnut one here, you see that I have named it Wood Stove Cover, Stovetop Cover, Noodle Board, Stained Dark Walnut. Be very descriptive. You can put several types of titles or slashes between the titles. When people are searching for that item that you've listed, if it's a walnut cutting board, it needs to say walnut cutting board, not just cutting board. You need to be very specific with your titles, because ultimately Etsy is a search engine and you have to rank up into that search engine, so people need to be able to find what they're looking for. And we'll do one more with my stove cover. I've got this Distress. This is one of my most popular listings. We'll actually dive into this listing. I'll show you the behind the scenes on this listing in just a minute. So on this one, a noodle board was the first thing. This was my first listing. This was actually our stove cover that we were using. And so I took pictures of that, put it up as a custom order, and then that's how we started making sales on those. So you can see the various types of names that I've given this in the title. Noodle board, stove cover, I'm reading, oh my bad. Noodle board, stove cover, noodle board for gas stove, electric stove cover, gas stove top cover, wooden stove cover, and then personalized. If you've got a personalized item, make sure you list that. Personalized cutting board, personalized keychain, whatever you're making, make sure if it's personalized, go ahead and drop that in there. So in your description, when you describe your item, you're gonna need to make sure, or you need to make sure that you describe it properly and put some keywords in there that you used in your title. So if you use distressed stove cover, or if you used walnut cutting board in the title, make sure that's in that description too, because all this is going to tie together when people are searching for your item. If it's a specific color item, put that in there. Put that in the title, put that in the description, and you're also going to put that in the tags. All three, title, tags, descriptions. Those are the three most important things on Etsy, because again, it's a search engine. You need to rank in that search engine. People are looking for specific handmade things on Etsy. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you're going to really drill down and focus on what you're selling. Tags, titles, descriptions, what you're going to be looking for. Hear the lawnmower? Remember in the last video when we talked about how to sell your woodworking items, when I told you people will do business with people they know. This is a good tip in your description. Describe the process that you use to make that item. What goes into it? What tools you're using? How long it takes you to make it? People will identify with that and be able to say, hey, I appreciate the hard work and the effort that goes into making this personal item for me. Again, this is a lot like when you build a commission sale. You're making this for the person. It's a personal item. It's handmade. People appreciate that. Put that in the description and let them know. When you're setting up your shop, there's an about page that tells all about you and your business. Don't neglect that. Tell people who you are. Tell them what makes your products unique. When you're adding listings to your shop, if you don't have a current inventory, it asks you how many you have in stock. At the top of the listing, it asks if this made to order item. All of my items on my shop are made to order, but in the inventory, I always list 3. I try to keep at least 3 in stock. That does a couple of things. For one, if you only put 1 on there and your item is constantly selling out, that hurts your ranking with Etsy. So you want to make sure to keep an inventory there. I keep a watch on mine almost daily, especially when I'm making sales, and make sure that those never go into the sold out. It happens from time to time, but I try not to let it. Another thing that does is when someone puts an item in their cart, say if they pick one of your handmade products and they put it in the cart, it's going to tell them how many other people have that in their cart, and then they also know how many you had in stock. So it actually drives a little bit of urgency to the customer saying, hey, there's 10 people with this in their cart, there's only 3 in stock, I better order it now. That's another thing you can do. Just a quick tip, you can log into an incognito browser or use someone else's Etsy, like if your spouse has one, friend or whatever, let them search your item on there and find it, put it in their cart. So if that item is consistently at 0 people have it in their cart and nobody's actually watching this thing or not actually engaged in wanting to buy it, probably need to revise that item or just take it off your shop. Add inventory to your shop regularly, or update your items that aren't selling. Give those items at least 30 days before you start messing with any of the metadata, because it takes a little bit for that algorithm to crawl your site or crawl your listing and then start pushing those out to customers. So I don't change them too quickly, but you need to add inventory regularly. So if a customer orders an item from you and they request a different color than what you've got on there, say you've got one stained to dark walnut, so if they ask for a piece that's stained English chestnut, when you build that item, take 10, 12 pictures of it. You're going to post at least 10, remember. Take 10 pictures of that item, set up a brand new listing, and post that as another option on your page or on your shop. Because when you add a new listing to your shop, Etsy, in their seller's manual, tells you that they will give your shop a little bit of a boost in search every time you add a new product. It keeps your shop relevant. It shows them that you're actually working and engaged on that shop. And so you want to update inventory regularly as much as possible. Another good tip is to make sure that your shop is not all over the place. So you're not selling a t-shirt and then you're also selling a thermometer and you're also selling a cutting board and you're also selling paintbrushes. Nobody has a direction. They're all right, what is this? I mean, are you Walmart? I mean, what's going on there? Make sure that you're focused on what you're selling. If it's a woodworking shop and you're selling woodworking items and you have different items, that's perfectly okay. But don't just go outside your niche and try to just pick and choose things to try to get sales on there. It doesn't work. Remember in the last video when we talked about content marketing, where you're marketing your own products using your social media, there's no difference in the Etsy page. Take that page. On the Etsy page itself, you can actually share your shop to your social media. Share it pretty regular. Share those new listings. Let them know that you have an Etsy shop and hey, I'm open for business. You never know, maybe they share it to someone else or share it to their feed and someone sees that and be like, I need that. And then they go and order it. I get quite a few messages on Etsy. You have to keep up with that. Make sure that you're responding in a timely manner. It's a decent thing to do. Don't let someone message you and then 2 days later you answer them back. That's not good customer service. Go ahead and answer them. If they have a question about a product, a lot of times they'll want a custom order. Try to work with that customer and see what you can do. But above all, just be responsive to your customers. In the metadata, you can add 13 tags or search terms to your item or to your product. Use all 13. Try to come up with everything you think somebody's going to be searching for. Again, we're going to go back to the cutting board because there's 90,000 of those on there. So if you go to cutting board and you've got a walnut and cherry cutting board, make sure you put walnut and cherry cutting board, walnut cutting board, cherry cutting board. So you're using separate terms. Try to mix those up as best you can. If it's a special item or something unique about that product, make sure that's in that listing. Make sure you're putting specific terms in your tags that relate to your product. That'll help people find it. So let's talk about shipping. Etsy shipping, when you go to create a shipping label, if you do it through them, I use USPS because that's the only game in town. FedEx and UPS have little drop boxes around here. Now, I've heard from a fellow Etsy seller that he uses FedEx. They actually come to his house and pick up those items once a week. That's an option for you. They give him a discount because he's shipping a pretty good amount, but he tells me that you don't really need a large amount of sales to work with FedEx. I've just never tried it because USPS is working for me. So I create the label, I request a pickup, and the USPS actually picks it up for me the next day. So that works perfect. I don't have to go to the post office. I don't like going in there. I offer free shipping on my shop because about 6 months ago, Etsy come out with a new policy that says if you offer free shipping, they will favor your products in their search. I didn't care for that because I had to go and add free shipping. Well, when I added free shipping, some shipping, I'm in Arkansas. If I ship to California, that's $50 for a 13-pound stove cover. 10 to 13 pounds are what they usually range. They're about 30, 32 inches wide, usually 21, 22 inches deep by 3 or 4 inches thick, depending on the noodle board. So if I'm shipping to California or if I'm shipping to New York, it's $40 to $50 per item. If I'm shipping from Arkansas to Mississippi, the next state over, it's like 15 bucks. So I have no way of regulating who's buying that and how far it's gonna go. So what I had to do was raise my prices to meet the furthest distance. So I had to raise it $50. I hated that because it's not fair on the customer that's the state over or in my own state. But that's the price of doing business on Etsy. You got to follow the rules. If I didn't offer free shipping, then it hurts me. I've actually seen more sales, even closer sales, since I started offering free shipping. It's something about the mentality of a customer when they go and add that to the cart and they see that, or if they go and look at that item and it's showing it's getting free shipping, they feel like they're getting a deal, even if you've had to raise your rates for it. So when I ship my items through Etsy, what I do is I box them up myself. I take these boxes that I get from Walmart, the large size. I cut those down to fit the size of my stove cover. I wrap my stove cover in tissue paper that I also buy at Walmart, 50 sheets of it, 1 sheet thick all the way around. And then I take this bubble wrap that I get from Amazon and wrap the stove cover in the bubble wrap to protect it from damages when it's during shipping. And then I go ahead and box that up and tape everything down with this packing tape. So it's a pretty simple process, but it takes a little bit of time. It took me a little time to figure out this is the correct way to ship this stuff, because if you don't put the tissue paper on there, your paint and your stain gets scuffed, or if you don't put the bubble wrap on there, then you get damaged items when they arrive to your customer. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, ads. So in the last video, if you haven't seen that, I'll put it in the description below. It's a good one, you should probably watch it. It's gonna help you make some money woodwork. When I first started on Etsy, there was no way I was buying an ad. I was like, I don't got no money. I surely can't afford to put what little bit I am making from local sales onto an ad platform. Well, I was wrong. Let me preface by saying you don't have to spend ad money to have sales on Etsy, but when you buy ads from Etsy, you get surfaced on the front page. You're basically buying a spot on the front page so that your item gets seen by more customers and thereby hopefully getting you more sales. It has absolutely worked for me. In the last 12 months, I've spent about $1,500 on ads. You're thinking, what? No, it's not like that. I spend between $1 and $5 a day, depending on how many sales I want. So you can set your budget. You have to start out at a minimum of $1, I think it's 99 cents. I think it's $1 is the minimum ad budget you can do, and you can go all the way up to $100 a day. I've never done that. The max I've ever spent on ads on Etsy is $5 a day, and once it takes about 2 weeks before everything starts rolling after you start your ads up. So if you're only doing $1 a day, give it a couple of weeks. You're gonna spend 14 bucks. It's just how it is. So I wanted to see if I can increase my sales. I was at $3 a day. I was getting regular sales, so I bumped it to $5 a day, and oh my gosh, I started getting more sales than I wanted to keep up with, because I have a full-time job and I was having to like work a whole lot of extra time in the shop trying to keep up with those orders. It got really stressful. I was going out of my mind, so I dropped it back to $3, which slowed the sales down to a manageable amount. So I guess it just depends on what you're making. If you can crank those items out faster, if you're having success with ads. It does cost money on the front end, but honestly, if I'd have never bought those ads, I would have never have gotten the revenue generated that I did. So to me, it was worth it, especially since it's generating at $1 a day, $3 a day, $5 a day, whatever amount you select. It's not actually like a huge chunk coming out. And the way the Etsy payments work, I have it set to where when my account hits $100, they send it to my bank account. And so what happens is I'll make a sale of a stove cover, it's $130, and then if there's ad money owed, they go ahead and take that off the top. Shipping label comes off of that, etc. So it actually never comes out of my pocket per se. Now, one thing Etsy did very recently was called off-site ads. You have no control over off-site ads. You don't pay for those. Etsy pays for them up front, but you pay for them on the back end. You can check the Etsy handbook to make sure this is correct, but from what I remember is if your shop makes over $10,000 in revenue in any 12-month previous period up to this day, so a rolling 12-month period, then if they're already buying ads on they're putting ads on your stuff, you're not paying for it. So in other words, when somebody Googles your product, it may show up as an ad at the top. If they click on that and buy that item, they're going to take, if you make more than $10,000 on your shop, they're going to take 12% off the top of that sale. You have no control over that, none. If you make less than $10,000 in a rolling 12-month period, they're going to take 15% off the top. So automatically, you're losing, if your item's $100, you're losing $15 if it's an ad buy. You have no control over what gets advertised. You have no control over who buys that, where it's being shown at, any of that stuff. I'm not a fan of that at all. And I really haven't seen an increase in sales since they've done that, because I was buying my own ads. So that's totally separate from Etsy ads, which shows only on Etsy. These off-site ads show on Google and other search engines. I've made more sales on Etsy than I ever would locally, because it expands my customer base. There's no other place like Etsy on the internet that I know of that has this large of a customer base that are actively searching for handmade products. It's a very good idea to research the products that you're going to sell. Look at other shops that are selling those items. Don't copy from that shop, but take note of how they have their sales set up. If they have a bunch of reviews on their shop, they're making sales. Pay attention to that. They know what they're doing. Look at their items. Look how they've taken their pictures. Look how they've described them. Look how they titled them. Don't just jump on there and try to start listing items and not know what you're doing. Do your research. Don't make generic products to sell. Make something unique. It's your design. It's your color scheme. Whatever makes it unique to you, you need to figure that out before you start posting things on Etsy. Because like I said, on the cutting boards, there's like 90,000 results for cutting boards. You got to stand out from the crowd somehow. If you're just making a walnut and cherry cutting board and that's all you title it, and in the description walnut and cherry, you're not going to make any sales because you're not going to be serviced in the search. Write good descriptions, make good products, make unique products. Don't leave a product on your store that's not selling. If it's been on there for 2-3 months and you've not got any sales and you haven't seen any traffic to that, because you can look at your stats and see where your traffic's coming from. If you're not making sales, go ahead and remove that or revise it somehow. You don't want to leave that up there. Now, there's a couple of apps that I've used that will help you understand the ranking system and how to better title and tag and to make descriptions of your items. So you can just search for those. One's called eRank and one is called Marmalade. Both of them have a free aspect to that. I've never paid for the paid version of either one of those, but you can use those free versions. It'll help you optimize your listings, get you going on the right track. You want to make sure you check out the Etsy Seller Handbook and their policies before you start listing items for sale on their platform. Power tip time. Let's talk about the power tip. You're not going to believe this when I tell this to you. So some of you most likely have heard of Pinterest. You probably are not using Pinterest. Start using it. So Pinterest has driven more traffic to my website, to my YouTube, Etsy store than any other social media platform, bar none. I had to learn how to use Pinterest because I didn't have a clue what it was. I started reading on how to drive traffic to your website, to your product, and Pinterest kept showing up every time. And so I just downloaded the app, made myself an account, and I started using it. I started putting pins of my products on there that I've taken pictures of, and you can do that straight from your Etsy store. You can share it to Pinterest, share it to your Pinterest page. Pinterest will then start showing that when people are looking for certain things, that'll drive traffic to your shop. The more traffic, the more odds are you making a sale. I personally highly recommend getting a Pinterest account and put it in your business name and start driving traffic. If all you have is an Etsy store, start sharing those from Etsy. Go to Etsy, click on that product and share it to your Pinterest page and pin it to your page, or share it to your page. Is the same thing, pin, share. That'll start driving some traffic. Go do it. So I'm gonna share the stats behind my shop and then we'll get into the listing. So my shop's been open since about March or April of 2018, if I remember correctly, and it's been about 2.5 years. I've been able to generate 254 orders to date. That has brought in $26.7 thousand, as you can see, in that time frame, and then it's brought in 48.7 thousand visitors to the shop. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll see where it says Etsy app and Etsy pages is 12.3 thousand of those visitors. And then Etsy search, people are actually searching and finding my items, and then marketing and SEO is where I've bought ads. And then social media, Etsy ads on the very bottom. So as you can see, Etsy ads is beneficial if you want to jump into that. And then you can actually scroll on down. This is just in the Etsy app, Etsy Shop Manager app. You can download that. You can manage your entire store through the app, or you can do it on a laptop through a web browser. So you can see which items are selling the best. The stove cover, the distressed stove cover, is by far my most popular item. Let's dive into this listing and let me show you how one is set up. This is my most popular selling item. It's the distressed biscuit white, or an off-white color with a brown undertone with a wax finish on top. So I have all 10 pictures. There are some other color pictures other than the distressed white later on in the listing so that people can see I make those in different colors. So as you scroll down, there's a video section that's in beta. You may or may not be able to see that, depending on if you have access to that beta. Several of my listings have videos on them. You can check those out if you want. How you get there is etsy.com/shop/731woodwork. So in the title, I've got this thing titled Every Which Way But Loose. Everything I can think of that someone might search for on a stove cover noodle board, whether it be for a gas stove, electric stove. I try to put it in that title so that if they're searching for that specific color or specific item, they'll be able to find it by searching and not just rely on ads to show my products. So you're just going to ask about this listing, who made it, what is it, and then was it made to order. You can put it was made to order or what year it was made in, who made it if you're in a partnership or something, and then what it is, a finished product or a supplier tool. So if you go to kitchen storage, or the category, when you start typing this in, it's gonna suggest a bunch of things to it. You pick the best category that fits your item. What's the primary color? This one's white, has some brown undertones, so secondary color is brown. Occasions, you can pick any of these that you want. And so I try to pick something on all of them, no matter what it is, to see if it'll help the sale. Holidays, a lot of times before Christmas or before Mother's Day, I'll go in and drop this down and add that holiday in there, and that'll actually help if somebody's searching for Mother's Day's gifts. Sometimes it'll generate your listing to show up. I have it set for automatic renewal, and this is a physical product, it's not a digital product, so it's something they're going to buy. My description, extremely long, has a whole lot of detail in it, a whole lot of information in there so they know exactly what they're buying. And then there's a disclaimer on the bottom about not putting it on a hot stove and not recommended for food, etc. You can actually check that for customized orders. And then the tags, what we talked about, the tags, they need to be a bunch of them. You need to use all 13. They need to describe your item, or they need to be something someone may be searching for in relation to your product. The materials, what I've used to build this with, I put those in there because sometimes people are looking for a wood stove cover or a plastic stove cover or whatever it is. I want to make sure they know when they're searching that this is a wood and what all materials went into making that. I can set my price. I can tell how many quantities. If I have SKU numbers on them, we can do that. And then down at the bottom, I have a personalization thing where they have to tell me how wide and deep that item is, because it's a specific size I have to make for their stove. And I don't want them to just order a generic 20 by 20 and then they get it, this little tiny thing don't fit. I offer free domestic shipping to the United States. And then this is the finished thing. You can hit the publish in the bottom right. It'll publish that to your Etsy page, and then you are live and ready to go. So when you set your shop up, you see this is my shop. You can see my shop, my reviews across the top. Shop, reviews, about, policies, more. In the policies, I have processing time. I have my estimated shipping times, etc. Payment options, it's Etsy payments I've signed up for. When you set up your Etsy store, they'll walk you step by step on how to set it up. It's not difficult. And then your return and exchange is very important you set this up. I've already had a couple of customers. Not everybody's honest people. I've had a couple try to swindle me out of my product. They'll get it and they'll say, well, I didn't like the color. And they'll send me pictures and it's identical to the color that's on the listing. And they want me to send them another one that's the same color. Not gonna do that. I do offer exchanges. If they weren't happy, I offered to exchange it. The customer did not want to exchange that. So the customer left me a negative review and I could reply on it saying, hey, I offered you an exchange, you didn't want to do that. I think they were just fishing for a free product. Getting people to review your items is a big deal on Etsy, because the more good reviews you got, I mean, if you go to a store that has 0 sales and 0 reviews, you pick up momentum slowly. You start getting sales, you start asking your customers to review your product. You know, when I first started, I would send them a message about 2 weeks after the sale saying, hey, I hope you're happy with your product. Would you please consider leaving a review and let us know what you think. Let them send you or post that review of your product, and it helps your shop because you're getting positive reviews. Now you see where the shop is set up, I've got a banner across the top. I pretty much only make stove covers. I had some flags on here at one time. They didn't sell. I didn't really push those a lot because I was so busy with the stove cover. So you can see the stove cover listings. The banner across the top, I'll just throw that into a photo editing program, put a couple of colors on there, put my logo in the middle, rock right on. That way when somebody lands on this shop, they know this guy makes stove covers. Hey, comment below your idea for a build video or a business related video like this. I read every comment and I reply to every comment. I appreciate those comments. I take the best ideas and make videos out of those. My idea for the next video is a pricing video, how I price my woodwork. I don't do my pricing like any other video or suggestion that I've seen. If you'd like to see that video, you can comment below that you would like to see a pricing video, or if you have your own idea, do that too. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you want to help support this channel, we do have a Patreon, link in the description below. If you get value out of this content and you want to give some value back to us, you can do so by donating through Patreon. We appreciate it. You get 2 virtual fist bumps if you do that. Patron of different levels, depending on what level you're at, you'll get some merch, whether it be a sticker, a t-shirt, a coffee mug, a sweater, that sort of thing. Also, all patrons, no matter what level you are, will get early access to every video I publish right there on Patreon to you. You can watch it before anybody else. So it is my hope and my goal to help you make money woodworking through selling your woodworking projects on Etsy. I hope that this video has helped you out. If it has, you can do me a huge favor. Click that box right there to the next set of videos. That helps this channel more than anything you can do. So if you click that box right there, it goes to the next set of videos. My hope is that you can take some of this information I'm putting out on this channel to help you make money woodworking, to help grow your woodworking business, hopefully take this to a full-time job if that's what you want, or to help this be a good, viable side business for you. Thank you for watching.